Hello, this is Chris Morton from Wine and Real Estate TV here with another episode. Today's topic is buyers buying property and why they need representation. Our guest today is Pate from Keller Williams Realty. Brian is also an instructor for realtors, teaching us how to do our job a little bit better. And so I could think of no other guest that would be more knowledgeable about this topic than Brian. So Brian, thank you first off for joining us here today.
Glad to be here. Looking forward to the discussion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the reason I wanted to talk about this was I do a lot of open houses, and I oftentimes have people come through my open houses and they're scared to talk to me like I'm going to talk them into buying the house or manipulate them in some way. And I think there's been a general misconception about realtors in the industry that we are very manipulative and control like that. Explain, if you would, the advantages of why someone would want to have a conversation with a realtor when they're just starting out buying a home.
Well, I think the first thing that a buyer needs to know is what the rules of engagement are for realtors. And the rule is a very simple acronym that we refer to as LOADS. The buyer's agent owes you as the client LOADS. And those letters stand for loyalty, obedience, accountability, disclosure of material facts, and skill, care, and diligence. The loyalty factor is basically that you're working on their behalf. In the real estate business, we work as a fiduciary. So unlike a lot of stockbrokers, we have to be more concerned with the outcome for our clients first rather than ours. So that's a big piece. The second piece is obedience. We cannot do something without the permission of our client.
Right.
If you're working with a seller and they say we want to list at $250 and the agent thinks the house is only worth $230, it's up to the agent as to whether they take that listing.
Right.
We can't list it at $230 without their permission.
Right.
And then there's the accountability clause, and the accountability goes along with accounting. Basically, when something goes wrong, who do we blame? And so that's where that comes in. And then, of course, the big piece is the disclosure of material facts. And this is where a buyer's agent can come in very handy. It is a trained eye that sees the issues with the property, unlike the untrained eye. And a lot of times buyers will get caught up in the oohs and ahs and what I call the Homer Simpson effect. Ooh, shiny.
Right,
and they don't realize that there's a lot of detail to look behind. So that's where the disclosure piece comes from. And then there's the skill, care, and diligence, which is an intangible. Realtors take 8 hours a year of continuing education in North Carolina, in addition to many more classes, to keep themselves up to date on the issues of the day. And that's where that comes in. The buyers obviously don't have time to do that. They hone in on a particular house in many cases.
Right.
So that's the first piece of it. And understanding the rules of engagement is a big part of that. Secondly, it never hurts to have somebody on your side.
True.
It's a second set of eyes that doesn't have any emotion involved in the transaction, whereas a buyer can get very excited about a property.
Right.
It's the same reason that the guy at the car dealership puts you in the driver's seat for a test drive before they begin to negotiate.
Right.
So it's good to have a buyer agent representing you for that very reason.
Right. And I always tell people whenever I'm working as a buyer agent for someone and we're going through properties, they may be in love with a property and I have to say, wait a minute, I know you like this, and this is a true story actually, 5-bedroom, 1-bath townhome. I said, I know you like this, but you have to understand my job is also to be able to not only help you buy this now, but also if you need to in a year or 2 years, sell it to have a sellable property. And of course, when they looked at it from the eyes of a seller, they decided to walk away.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's a big piece. I think a good buyer's agent is someone that understands what the listing agent is trying to do with the presentation of a home. Right. I think that a buyer's agent has 3 main jobs that they have to do. Number one, identify all of the properties that are available in a particular buyer's price range. Once you do that, the second step is to identify which of those are overpriced so that you don't overpay for the property. And then the third piece, once you narrow down what you like, you figure out which of the 3 or 4 properties are in the best resale areas, because that is the biggest piece. Nobody buys a house for $250,000 or $300,000 thinking, it's okay if we lose $50,000 on this one.
Right.
That's what happened to us in 2008 and 2009 and 2010, and we certainly don't want to go through that again. So, and even one thing that I've noticed with a lot of moved down buyers, people that are baby boomers moving down into that final home, they're not thinking so much about resale value, and they say, well, it doesn't matter to us if we can sell it. This is our last home. But somebody's going to have to sell it.
Right.
And you want to make sure that you don't make it very difficult on your kids as you pass it along.
Right. exactly. Well, anything else you want to share with the folks today?
No, I think the big thing that I would tell people to do is interview a couple of agents.
Right.
It's always good to talk to different personalities. Don't go with the first person that you meet.
Unless it's me
Unless
or
it's,
you.
Unless it's me or you,
Right.
yes. And of course, sit down and talk to them about your goals and your needs. But make sure the one thing that I notice that a lot of buyers agents are not doing that they should be, and that is the presentation of what is called the Working with Real Estate Agents document.
Yeah.
And it is required by law in North Carolina that this be proposed to you and shown to you at first substantial contact, which means the first face-to-face
Right.
meeting.
Right.
So if you sit down with an agent and you start talking and telling them what you're looking for, how much you're willing to spend, and how you're going to pay for it, you need to make sure that you've signed that document so you understand exactly what positions you're getting yourself into, because it can be costly if you make a mistake.
Agreed. And something I would add to that is sort of something you said, and that's sit down and talk with a realtor. So many realtors will just meet you at a house and show you a bunch of homes and not even bother to ask you what your needs and goals and wishes are. I know your team, my team, has it in our rule book that you got to have a contact with someone, preferably at our office or at Starbucks, and sit down and say, okay, start from phase one. Where are we starting?
Absolutely.
What's your goal? What's your timetable? That sort of thing.
Well, and that's also a safety issue too.
Yeah,
with
true.
With the stories in the newspaper recently, we
Yeah.
certainly want to keep safety in mind, and it's safer for the client too, because meeting someone that you don't know at a
Right.
house is just as dangerous for the buyer as
Right.
it is for a realtor.
Very valid point. Valid point. Well, we've come to the portion of our show. We are called again Wine and Real Estate TV. We've done the real estate part. Now we got to do unfortunately the wine part, which you and I both are not.
I'm ready to go.
Huge wine people.
I'm
yes.
ready to go.
I can tell. We have today a bottle of and Brian, of course, was kind enough to bring it. Bottle of Cakebread Cellars Chardonnay. We all know how huge of a fan of Chardonnay I am. However, this is a very, very good Chardonnay, I will say. This was about how much again, Brian?
It's about $50 a bottle.
So good stuff.
In a restaurant, you're going to pay between $100 and $115 for the bottle.
Right.
But this is a 2012. It's made in Napa Valley, and one of the great things about it is they're using the actual grapes from the Cakebread Cellars. It's not like a Biltmore wine where
Right.
the grapes are not actually produced on site. Right. So, but it's a great bottle of wine. It's got a little bit of an oaky taste to it. I was turned on to it actually by Joe O'Keefe from Wine 101,
Our friend Joe.
that I think was in one of your previous episodes. Yeah. And but it's got a very nice bouquet.
Yeah.
It looks very good as it's coming down the sides of the glass. So it's definitely one that we encourage you to taste. And like I said, it's one of my favorites.
You can definitely tell so Chardonnay to me is, although not my favorite grape, it is the grape that you can tell a $5 or $10 bottle of Chardonnay from a $50 bottle of Chardonnay. When I went to Napa, we got to try some really awesome, expensive Chardonnays, and you really can tell the difference. This is clearly a higher end Chardonnay, not something you would want to serve to your least favorite friend. This would be to your best friend. And I can definitely tell they've done some oak, but it's a lot of stainless steel as well, so you're not getting that awful fake butter taste that results from over oaking. And also they inject chemical into the wine to give that taste because people are trained to like that butter taste. So this is definitely a wine drinker's Chardonnay.
Well, and the best thing I can tell you about this, my wife and I are big foodies, and we went up to New York City about a year and a half ago and had dinner at a place called the Lambs Club, which is owned by Jeffrey Zakarian. And if you're familiar with the Food Network, you know who Jeffrey Zakarian. This is actually their house Chardonnay there,
Lord.
And that kind of reinforced how good it is. But we love
nice.
it. It's available here locally. It's not hard to find, so you can get it. So I encourage you to pick up a bottle and give it a taste.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Cheers. Absolutely. That is good stuff, I have to say.
Absolutely.
Well, please do us a favor and let them know how they can find you. And incidentally, we didn't mention we are in one of your listings. Give a brief snippet about this and also how they can find you and get some info.
We are. This particular home is called the Thompson House. It was actually built in 1853, and it is on the market right now for $750,000. You can find more information on the web at www.thompsonhousewakeforest.com. Okay. Again, that's thompsonhousewakeforest.com. But I'm available. My website is paterealty.com. You can search every home for sale in the marketplace. If you go to brianpateseminars.com, you can find all of our classes that are available. We'll be cranking up the continuing education now. And if you're thinking about getting your real estate license, I also teach pre-license classes for the Superior School of Real Estate, which is based out of Charlotte and has offices in Charlotte, Asheville, Greensboro, and Raleigh. So would love to see you in a class or see you out and about looking at houses soon.
Well, Brian, thank you for your time. As always, you can catch other episodes of this show at wineandre.com, wineandre.com. This is Chris Morton, your host. Thank you so much for your time. And Brian, cheers.
Cheers.